Actually, the reason why we choose Convertible Note were in the beginning a bit of a coincidence, because we have back then our current advisory board, they actually recommended it as a tool. And the first time I saw it, I didn't know, okay, what is it, all that stuff. But I got the idea of the setup and why to use and all that stuff. And I'm so glad we choose that tool, because it's been so easy for us to use since then, and use it in different settings. And I really like that tool, and I advocated for all the startups I meet. I say, hey, this is a tool, you can do this and all that stuff. So I really find it to be a good instrument. For us, the main reason why we choose to work with Convertible Note is to get rid of the tricky part, I would say, because every time you raise money, most often it comes down to talking about the valuation, right? Is it 5 million? Is it 50 million? All that stuff, and it's really tricky, because everything is based on prospects and hey, what do you think the company, where will it go, and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, it's the potential and the future. And that's so tricky, because of course the investor, they would like to, it's only 2 million, it's only maybe 1.5, and us as a startup, I know it's 10 million, all that stuff. So it's actually to take that negotiation away and say, okay, now you want to invest in us, and we are thankful for that. And if you do it now, we would sort of give you a discount later on. So we know that we're going to raise money later on, and at that point we would probably get a valuation anyway, because it's a seed investment or whatever. And we move the discussion of the valuation to that part, which make it super easy. Just a quick note here, there is a difference between Convertible Note, and there's also SAFE and all that stuff. So there's different ways of doing it. But most often these contracts are the same setup. So you have these different, you have the maturity date, you have in some case the interest, all that stuff. And it's sort of the same elements you have in the contract. So in our case, some of the investments we've done is maybe it took 5 days, because we sent the contract and it's fairly simple, it's 5 pages, and then okay, I get the deal, and then it's sort of signed, sealed, and delivered. So in some cases it's been a fairly quick tool to use and easy to get for both, I would say, companies, yeah. So that's why. Yeah, tricky question. But yeah, of course I'm aware of some of the technical aspect of doing or dealing with Convertible Note. And actually, some of the rules behind is fairly old. I think they've not been updated since 2001 or something. And it's mainly come down to what we call the ABL law, which is aktieavancebeskatningsloven. So it's if you invest and if there is an upside, you would actually get taxated on the upside, even though it's not realized yet. And I know that both Dan Van and some of the members in the community, they're trying to not fix it, but change it, because it's not been updated since we actually introduced Convertible Note as an instrument. So it's just because it's some sort of old law that needs to be updated into the way we actually raise money today. And I'm actually I think they were going to change it up. If of course this is governmental and all that stuff, so it would probably take time. But I truly believe that we will change it in maybe next year. But at the end of the day, if you believe in a startup and if they will be successful, it really doesn't really matter, because then yeah, of course you will get taxated anyway. It's just a matter of the time aspect, when is it, and all that stuff. So if you truly believe in, and that's why most of our investors, of course they are aware, but as one of them said, Anders, I believe in you and I believe that you will be successful, so I don't mind. It doesn't change anything for me. And I like that way of putting it. So I guess the most frequently asked question is relating to the discount and the valuation cap. And if we start with the discount, it's fairly simple, because what you get, or I can take our case as an example, we usually get 20% discount to the investors, which means when they convert, when we have it's called the conversion event. So if we raise money later on, they would get 20% discount on the price on the next round, which is fairly simple. So a coupon code, you get discount, and then it's often the discount you sort of negotiate about, like, should it be 20, should it be 25 or 30, and it's like between that gap, it's usually between 20 and 30. That's the most frequently I've seen, and it comes down to the perspective of the startup, how developed is it and all that stuff. And usually what you see is like it goes down while the startup mature. So maybe it starts high and then it goes lower and lower. And on the other side we have the valuation cap, which is the easiest way to explain it is actually some kind of protection for the investor. So if you invest in our company, our valuation cap is currently it's 20 million. And let's say that we maybe in our next round we're going to raise money at 40 million valuation. Then all the convertible note holders, they are actually converting to the like 50%, like in terms of percentage for the 40 million and the 20 million. So they actually get a fairly good discount. And in that case, it's a good deal for the investors. So that's the protection. And we actually see in the space now that, especially in San Francisco, some startups that actually do the convertible note or the safe note, they do it uncapped. So there's no cap and there's no protection for the investors, which means like the startup could blow off and maybe raise money to 100 million valuation. And if you only have invested like 100,000, like you would only get a fraction, which is maybe okay in that sense because you're part of something big, hopefully.